has been a while. It has been a while. I'm trying to get back on and get these topics. There's so many things that the Spirit is wanting me to speak on many, and then I have to meditate a little bit so that I can think about how do I deliver this message. Well, this one I've had, and I've been meaning to put it out. I just haven't had the time. So now I'm taking the time today to do this. Normally I want to, take the whole day out so that I can do a marathon and put out several different topics. But today I just need to put this one out. Mi amigos in Argentina. Hola, hola. Well, ese is in English. Disculpa, mi amigos, pero yo tengo mucho cosas para vos. I hope that's the right word. Mucho. All right. Tengo mucho cosas para vos en español, en castellano, pero ahora necesita hablar, mi amigos, en Estados Unidos, en inglés. Cesar, hola, Cruz. I got a lot of people from Argentina that check in with me, and I'm going to start. You're going to see me on here, and I'm speaking Spanish, and then we're going to put the little subtitles for English under there. But today I'm speaking in English to you guys, and I need to talk on this subject. Why racism is not real. Why racism is not real. Hello, Julio Jones. How are you, brother? Oba, ¿cómo estás? All right, so we're going to speak on this today about why racism is not real. And I know a lot of people, what you mean it's not real? Oh, it's not real because of you down there in Argentina? No, it's just not real. And we're going to talk about why it's not real and understand what's really going on with this term racism and why we think we're feeling it so hard. All right, so now, the first thing we're going to get on, or the topics that we're going to cover in this session today are, who is the puppet master? All right, we're going to get down and dirty with it, and I'm going to break it down so that you can go and do your own research and see, once again, who's really pulling the strings, what's really going on behind the scenes that we're not understanding. We're going to also understand how our energies are being used against us. All right, and we're not, people who watch my posts, I really am big on the universal laws and why they're so important. We're going to go over that just a little bit. I won't go deep into the universal laws, but understanding how your energies are being used against you is very important. One of the things that we are very ignorant about, the universal laws. When they say ignorance of the laws are no excuse, they're talking about the universal laws. Okay, so you can't be ignorant of those and expect to walk like the God you are in this dimension. The third thing we're going to get on is what the term racism truly means. What does it truly mean? We're going to get into some etymology, just a little bit. All right, so those are the things we're talking about. So I'm going to get started. We are going over why racism is not real. Diva, we're going to break this down. All right, so first of all, let's get on this. We look in the media as melanated people, and we see a lot of just the blatant negativity in the media, where it's always about police brutality, and then there's a Caucasian police brutalizing a melanated person, or we'll see something where there's some Caucasian or Albion that has done something negative to a melanated person. And the thing about that is we get so caught up in these stories that we don't understand what's going on behind the scene and who's really owning the media. So let's get into this, because I'm just going to go hard. I'm going to dive deep into it. All right. So what we want to look at is, again, we see the negativity in the media. We see the negativity on even if you don't watch television, you don't watch television, you still see it, because if you're watching social media, They watch television. The friends in your friend list, they're watching television and they're bringing that to you. And so all you're seeing is negativity when they're sending you videos of a cop beating up someone, or they're sending you this. That's negativity. And one of the things is somebody is purposely manipulating these media products to give you these negative images on purpose. And we're going to go into, like I said, we're going to go into why. But what we need to understand is who, first of all, who is doing this? Okay, so we think when we look at the Albion and we want to fight the Albion, and the Albion is doing all this negative stuff to the melanated people, but they don't own anything. Caucasian doesn't own anything. They didn't create any laws here. They didn't create the religion. They don't own any of this. And so what the deal is, we need to understand who owns it. So let's get into it. All right. So when we get into this, we're gonna run this list down. Who owns every major television network in North America? Who owns every major radio station, every major newsprint company, every major magazine company, every major book publishing company, which is huge? We don't even understand how huge owning every major book publishing company is. Owns every major record label, every major food company, 90% of the NFL teams, 90% of the NBA teams, 90% of the national baseball teams or the professional baseball teams. They're all of them are owned by Jews. All right. So somebody's going to call me, oh, you racist. No, we're going to break it down and we're going to tell the truth about what's really going on. Now, when I speak about Jews, I'm talking about, you got your Zionist Jews. Now, all of them aren't in on this. But when you look at the families who own all of these things that I just talked about, they're Jews. And these people make up less than 1% of the people on the entire planet. Yet they own more than 90% of all of the resources in North America alone. Okay, we're talking about Jews, but you want to go and fight the Albion, who really doesn't own any of it. They're puppets, just like the melanated people are. Why? Because they don't understand the universal laws and they don't understand who is behind the scenes keeping people fighting. All right, so let's get on this because this is some things we need to understand once again as we dive into who owns everything. Melanated people are upset because the Albion gets loans faster. Okay, what is a loan? Again, a loan is where you are putting yourself in debt and in enslavement to those who own the IMF. Well, who owns the IMF? Jews. I mean, when we want to step back and look at this, why is it that all of your Congress people, your senators and all of them, they have to make a pledge to Israel? Well, who owns Israel? Who's running that? Jews. Why is it that the United States corporation is sending out so much money to Israel? What is that about? Who owns that? Jews. So again, we're not understanding who is really manipulating everything behind the scenes. And so when we go back and look at your television networks and why there's so much negativity, first of all, you want to understand who's putting that out. Now let's understand this. When it comes to the Jews, they don't like melanated or Caucasian or the Albion any more than they like melanated people. They feel that anybody who's not a Jew is not worthy to live. If they need 100 other people other than Jews to save one Jew, they feel that all those 100 people should die. And that is their motto. Now, this is not me saying you should hate the Jew. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you, you need to understand who it is and what it is behind the scenes. So when you're fighting the Albion and you're thinking, oh, they're racist against me, you need to understand that there is an energy being put out to keep you fighting the Albion, who doesn't own anything, And I want to go back to this because I talked about the loans, because, you know, melanated people, they get this fast and they got cars and houses and all this. But here's the deal. Again, and I'm going to go, I know a lot of you all don't care too much for the Bible, but there are things in there that give you clues. One of them is when you look at the Bible and those Israelites and how they would get in trouble, the biggest quote unquote sin for them to do or participate in was usury. Usury is borrowing money with interest. That was one of the big no-nos for those people in the Bible. Don't borrow money. And you got to understand, when you're borrowing money for a house, borrowing money for a car, and all these other things, your credit cards, what you're doing is you're enabling those who have you enslaved, because they can't, without you borrowing money and enslaving yourself, they can't create wars. They don't have the money for the big tanks. They don't have the money to do all of these negative things around the world without you. So when you borrow money, you enable them to continue. So it's your fault. It's our fault. When we are participating in usury, which was one of the biggest no-nos in the Bible, against those people who were called Israelites. All right. So if you're concerned about that, they get borrow money and they, whatever it is, that, you know, melanated people are upset and think it's the Albion that they need to be fighting. That's not your enemy. Really, the Jew is not even really your enemy. You're your enemy. And so we're going to go into that. But one of the things we need to understand is the Albion, once again, is a puppet, just like the melanated people, just like the gay people, just like the poor people, just like the young people, just like the old people. There's this group that uses everybody against each other. And as long as everyone is fighting, no one ever stops and looks at the person or the beings behind the curtain. All right. So I want to say this, and then I'm gonna move on to the next topic. But the same Jew that'll be upset and crying about let's put it like this. The same Jew that funded the NAACP, because just so you understand, the NAACP was started and funded and still is owned to this day by the Jews. So the same people who funded the NAACP is the same people who funded the KKK. The same people who funded Democrats are the same people who will fund the Republicans. The same people who fund the Black Caucus are the same people who fund the Tea Party. The same people who fund the LGBTQ, LMNOP, whatever it is, it's the same group that's going to fund the pedophiles, the pedophile group. It's the same group who's going to fund the religious organization against the pedophiles. The same Jew that cries out about the Holocaust is the same Jew that funded Hitler. Hitler was a Jew. Am I lying? Just go look it up. Go look it up. So all of this thought about, racism is this and that and that, you don't understand who's doing the manipulating behind the scene. And you need to understand, once again, I'm going to break this down for you, because these are the same people who owns every television network, every radio station, every newsprint, every magazine company, every book publishing company, all the major book publishing companies, all these major corporations, major record labels, food companies. The NFL, at 90% of the NFL, 90% of the NBA, 90% of the baseball league, they're owned by Jews. And once again, these people make up 1% of the population on the entire planet, yet they own more than 90% of the resources in North America alone. But you want to fight the Albion. Okay, well, let's get on this then. Because what you're also not understanding is that how your energies are being used against you. So now we understand who is behind the scenes. Let's understand how your energies are used against you. Now, this is dealing with spirituality. And I had this person to tell me, Spirituality doesn't exist because science hasn't proven it. And okay, I am science. You are science. I don't need somebody outside of me to tell me what I am experiencing. So let's break this down about how you know whether spirituality is real or not. So because we're, there is the spirit within us, and it controls everything. And then there is this vessel that we're in. And some people don't understand that they are not, they can be separated, and they do all the time. So let me just break these down, and then I'm going to move into this topic that I'm ready to get onto so that we can understand how important spirituality is. When we're talking about that time when you were asleep and you had this dream, and suddenly 2 weeks later, that exact dream, you saw it again. All right, you saw that dream and you were thinking, I haven't been here, but I saw that dream. Well, that's called astral traveling. All right, when you are in a place and you are it happened, you're like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. And they call it deja vu. They give you that term, deja vu. But you've never been there, but you've heard these words that you're speaking, you've seen this whole scene, and they call it deja vu. All right, what is that about? That's a spiritual thing that, again, we're ignorant of. All right, and when we have people who say they see beyond their eyelids, where they are in some kind of corner or whatever, they're looking down on themselves. That's called astral travel as well. That's also called viewing, right? Now, all of those, that's where your spirit is traveling without your vessel. So if you don't get it from there, because we've all had those experiences, if you don't get it from there, then I can't, maybe this part won't resonate with you. Maybe you should do some more studying and go inside. But what I want to talk about is the media's influence on this phenomenon that we have, our spiritual side, because one of the things we're not getting is that every energy that you put out, every thought, first of all, every thought you have is an energy. Every word you speak is an energy. And everything you do, whatever move you make in this dimension is an energy. And what happens is that when someone can manipulate our thoughts, it creates a negative energy. Now, I talk about this universal law because the main purpose of the universal laws is that whatever energy you put out must come back. Okay, whatever energy you put out must come back. And so again, when you have a thought, it is an energy that you're putting out, and it must return to you. So if you're constantly watching television, and on this television, it's constantly showing you a Caucasian that is beating, or an Albion that is beating up on a melanated person, or it's showing you some kind of police brutality and it's going against the melanated person, or even with Caucasians or the Albion, where they see negative imagery about the person, and they think, oh, all melanated people are violent, or whatever their thought is, that is being manipulated by the media. Why is this important? Because when you're not aware of what you're being fed, and you're being fed negative imagery, then you're going to turn that energy is going to come back to you, and you don't understand why you're getting it. So you're being told, oh, this is racism, or this is whatever it is, police brutality, but whatever energies you put out must come back. Now, let's understand this also with the universal laws. If you are receiving an energy, it is an energy that you put out. And now, I didn't put out no negative energy to that cop that pulled me over and blah, blah, blah. We're not understanding how energies work, right? It's not about what you do right now. So let me give you an example. When you were out and somebody needed money, you gave them $5, $10, and you didn't think anything about it. And then, maybe 4 days to 7 days later, that money came back to you many times over. If you gave them a 5, you got 25 back. If you gave them 10, you got 50 back. We've had that experience. See how long it took? It took days for that energy to come back around. And that is how energies work. And so what you're not understanding, you're sitting down watching television, and you're seeing this negative imagery that's being pumped into your brain. And so you see police brutality. And next time you're on the street, you see a police person, and you're in your very inner being, you have a negative energy or thought towards that police person. You don't even realize you're doing it, but you're putting out an energy when you do that. So when someone is programming your mind with negative thoughts and negative imagery, when you go out, you're putting out that energy. You don't even realize you're doing it. Whether it be an energy of fear, an energy of anger, an energy of anxiety, you're putting that out and you don't realize it. And so we have to understand how we're being manipulated, because you're the one with all of the power. We keep saying, oh, those that are in power, the powers that be or whatever, they don't have any power. You have all the power. And when you allow yourself to be manipulated, then you are the one who's going to suffer for it. They're not. They just know how to manipulate your energies. And so you got to remember and keep in mind that everything you're thinking, everything you're speaking, everything that you're doing, your actions, they're putting energies out. All right, so we got to understand that. I don't know if I have any questions. Let me see. I don't know. Any comments? Hola, Sergio. All right, so I'm going to move into this next thing. As we have understood, the spirit travels without the body. So be mindful of your energies that you're putting out. Lastly, I need to get on what is racism? What is racism? Because this word has been bastardized, and we're not getting what it truly means. So first of all, the term race, let's say racist. What does racist mean? Now, the suffix ist, I-S-T, deals with the love, having a love for something or a strong concern for something. That's what ist means. So when we're talking about violinist, this is someone who loves the violin. Pianist, someone who loves the piano. Dentist, someone who loves the teeth or has a concern with the teeth. An optometrist, someone who loves eyeballs. Ist is a suffix that has everything to do with love. Yet, this one word, racist, is somehow associated with hate. Somebody bastardized the term. And it doesn't mean what we're thinking it means or what we're using it for. The term, first of all, let me ask you a question. And I'm going to see if I can get an answer on this. But what is the term that means someone who loves their own race? Because it's not a bad thing to love the people of your race, is it? So what is the term for someone who loves the people of their own race? Now, let's make this clear. Just because I love my own race doesn't mean that I hate people of another race. Does a guitarist hate a violinist? No, it just means you love the guitar. So what is the term for someone who loves the people of their own race? Oh, wait. Okay. Term is racist. And again, it has been bastardized. So now this term that is supposed to mean love for your own people, because I'm going to present to you, I don't have a problem even with someone who wants to give a job to their own people, because that's what I do. When I want to hire someone, I prefer to hire someone who has melanin first. That I'm going to give them the job first. So if that makes me racist, as a matter of fact, the term racist means to love the people of your own race. So we run around here, oh, I'm not racist, and black people can't be racist. And yes, they can, and yes, they should. You should be more racist. You should love your people, and that's one of our problems right now. We don't have a love for our own people. So when we're talking about racist and racism, yeah, you should institute that. You should, as a matter of fact, we should be creating our own jobs and providing and supporting our own communities. That don't mean you hate Caucasians. That doesn't mean you hate the Jew. That doesn't mean you hate anybody. It means you love your people. There's nothing wrong with loving your people. As for this term racism, we need to understand that we are being manipulated. You are being manipulated to fight. Those who are manipulating you, they need you to fight so that you don't ever look at them. If you're fighting with an Albion, talking about some racism, and you never turn and look at the Jew who's funding everything. Let me tell you something about the Jew, those who are funding this stuff. And again, it's not a hate towards the Jew, because again, the Jew is not my issue. My issue is me and making sure I keep my mind right. They can't manipulate me unless I allow it. I don't allow it. So again, what I'm trying to say to you is, we have to look at who's really behind the scenes and doing this thing, because again, they will fund any side. They're going to fund both sides. That's what they do. That's their game. And if you don't understand the game of those who are behind the curtain, then you're going to be caught up in the game. All right. Again, they're going to fund the Democrats and the Republicans. Who is anybody taking any look at all you people who are in this politics about who's funding these people? Both sides are being funded by the same people. Well, who are these people doing the funding? Well, they're Jews. Who are the people who's funding all of the major television networks? And let me go so far as this, because I talked about how book publishing companies are the ones where they have that's a whole lot of power. Why? Because every book that goes into every school, from kindergarten to college, alternative learning, beyond college, university, all of that, those come from the major book publishing companies. And this is why when we talk about a school that's accredited, they're accredited because they use the books that come from these publishing companies. And you got to understand that these publishing companies are not going to publish the truth. Their purpose is to make sure that they keep people enslaved. So if you're going to a school that's accredited, you're getting books that come from their publishing companies, and their publishing companies are not telling you the whole truth about everything that's going on. They're not. They're training you to be a good slave. That's why they want you to go to their accredited schools. So we got to understand who's manipulating this whole game. Who is the puppet master? And if you want to fight with another puppet, you got to understand you're not doing anything but bringing negative energy on yourself. And the puppet master knows that. So your enemy is you. Not even the puppet master, but you. Are you allowing yourself to be manipulated? Are you watching too much television? Are you allowing, when you're going through your threads and people are sending you all these silly videos, are you clicking on them and playing them and watching all this negative action? Then you're feeding yourself negativity. You're feeding yourself bad energies, and you're helping them to program you. So, Diva Laree, I don't know if I have any questions. I'll see here real quick, but you need to understand who is the puppet master, how your energies are being used against you, and what the term racism truly means. It's a bastardized term. We need to understand this game, and once we do, hey, we're going to be on our way to walking like the gods that we are. Diva Laree, I'm out. Peace.